Hey folks, and welcome back to another Desk Dispatch. A quick check-in from my desk about the tools that I'm curating and the habits, routines, and structures I'm playing around with, all in service of a more intentional analog lifestyle. On today's Desk Dispatch, a new pen acquisition. This is the Kaweco Sport Honey, a journey with the LAMY 2000, which has left me unsettled, the Kurvd Waterbears, curious thing, and my journey with the 5-year diary from Midori as of late, which has been a bit of a struggle. Let's jump over to the desk. This is the Kaweco Sport in a honey colorway. These are pocket pens effectively. They're very small, but they post very well, and they have a really good feel in the hand, at least in my hand. I got rid of most of my Kaweco Sports. I had one left in a Toyoma blue, and I wasn't really interested in picking up another, but summer was here and I hadn't really experimented with yellow colorways in my fountain pen inks. I was curious about what that would look like. At a recent stationery club meetup, one of my friends, April, showed me her Kaweco, and honestly, it took my breath away. It's such a beautiful yellow color, and I figured I should probably pick it up. Now, it was interesting because I wasn't sure which yellow ink to go with, and I ended up picking up Jacques Herbin Amber de Barmani. Amber de Barmani? I am butchering that. I absolutely believe I am butchering that. Amber de Barmani. You know, the irony is I did actually take a lot of French in school when I was much younger, and I can't speak a lick of it other than merci beaucoup, oui, and non, un petit peu. Anyhow, this is a beautiful yellow coffee-like ink. And I'll show you a writing sample here quickly. Oh, and I should clarify another statement here. I do actually have another Kaweco Sport. This is in the brass, so it's a metal pen. It sits on my traveler's notebook. This one I have in a fine nib. I absolutely love this pen. It's a hefty pen. It's not hefty, but it has good weight. I love the patina that's developed over time, and it sits consistently on my traveler's notebook. I got this in a medium because I wanted to use this specifically for long form journaling, and I got a gold clip on this one just because I like the styling of it. I actually tried out the black clip at first just because I like the honeybee look. Showed it to my wife, who took a look at it and said that it wasn't quite the right color of yellow to go with the black, so I ended up switching it back to the gold. This is in my daily carry. It sits on my Quattro pouch at all times over the summer right now. I'm really enjoying it. Let's take a quick look at the writing sample here. Again, this is inked up with Jacques Herbin Amber de Barmani. I am so butchering that. They're quite lovely pens. The nibs, they're smooth. They're very consistently right out of the box. Well, the other thing I should mention on this, instead of just using a cartridge, I have this Kaweco piston converter, and this one's really simply just draw up the ink, and that's basically it. And what I really liked about this yellow can be a finicky color. It can be really light and you can't really see it on your pages, and if that's what you're going for, fantastic. For me, on my long form journaling, I wanted it to stick out, to be a distinct visible entity on a page. You know what's interesting about this? This would be considered a cheaper fountain pen. I certainly have more expensive ones in my fountain pen collection, but this cheaper fountain pen just brings me so much joy, and I'm quite happy about that. It just resonates with respect to where I'm at seasonally right now. And so I find I'm gravitating to using this pen quite a bit more than some of my more expensive pens. I guess that just goes to show you, it's really about the writing instrument, the aesthetic, the feel, the texture, the tactile sensation, all of that, more so than the price of the pen, and certainly from the perspective of some of the fancier aspects of, Grail pens or very expensive pens. Don't get me wrong, I love all my expensive pens, and it's just such a joy to have something so small that if I lost it or if it got trashed, I wouldn't be upset about it. but I'm certainly enjoying the moments that I do have with it. So speaking of expensive pens, let us talk about the journey of this guy here. This is the LAMY 2000, and it was on my Grail pen list for the longest time, and I ended up picking one up last year. I think it's been, maybe a year and a half ago now, perhaps. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, about a year and a half ago. I knew I wanted a LAMY 2000. There was no question about it, especially for the work environment. Just having a classy pen that had a more subtle distinction when it came to a writing instrument. Instead of having a fancy aesthetic to the nib, it has a more subtle, modern aesthetic to its nib. And everything I read about this pen at the time, great writing experience. This is a gold nib pen, and I'm struggling to remember how many carats it is at the moment. It's either 14 or 21. Vacuum filler, sorry. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful pen. And it has been a journey because it didn't quite live up to the expectations right out of the bat. I got it in a medium nib first, and I absolutely hated the writing experience. I mean, there's a lot of talk on forums about the LAMY 2000 being hit or miss, and if you like a medium, especially a European medium, the LAMY 2000 is a little bit wetter than that, so it almost writes like a broad sometimes, and sometimes it writes like a consistent medium, so there's a little bit of variability in there. But also just, there's a lot of discussion around the LAMY 2000, the way the nib is designed and its approach is there's a bit of a sweet spot to the nib in terms of how you write. So you don't want to be twirling your pen side to side, which you do have a lot more flexibility on when you use a traditional fountain pen nib. You can get away with a little bit side to side. On the LAMY 2000, there's a pretty distinct sweet spot where the ink flows and it feels very smooth. On the medium nib that I had, it felt very pronounced, and it drove me nuts because it felt like I had to hold my LAMY at a certain angle all the time, and it just didn't suit my writing style because I like to have a little bit of play. I like to have a little bit shallow in how I write, and the LAMY medium had me writing very upright like this. You know, the LAMY 2000 pen here is $200+. So it's quite a significant estimate, a significant investment. And then when you build up your own personal hype around a Grail pen like this, I so badly wanted it to succeed, and I was so disappointed when it didn't. And the good friends at my local stationery shop here, Reed Stationers, I went in to see them. They were kind enough to swap out the nib for me, but it was effectively a 3 or 4 month wait, if I remember correctly, just because the fine nibs, I wanted to switch from a medium to a fine. The fine nibs were all out of stock. So having bought the Grail pen and then not using it frustratingly and then sending it away for 4 months was, weird. A lesson in just terms of instant gratification. And when I got the pen back in a fine, I was so happy because it wrote beautifully. And then the next part of the journey that was challenging was the pen leaked profusely inside the cap, all over the place, from the nib, from here, and the barrel section, and the nib grip section, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I figured I had miscleaned it, so I took it all apart, cleaned it out deeply, put it again, wrote beautifully, and then it just would have pools of ink in the bottom of the cap here. So I took it back to my good friends at Reed Stationers, and we took a look together. I couldn't figure out what was going on, neither could they, other than perhaps there was a crack in the barrel or something. We're not quite sure, but it was very clearly leaking out from the nib grip section and where the barrel connects to the grip section as well. So that was really frustrating. And again, the kind folks at Reed Stationers just ended up swapping out a brand new pen for me at that point in time with the fine nib, and I loved it. It was on my traveler's notebook quite a bit. I was certainly using it at work. Well, now I have an extra nib because one day in my study over here, I was writing with the pen, and for some reason, I don't know, it's just one of those weird things. I had the pen like this. I don't normally post it, so that was weirdness in itself, but I had it posted. I took off the cap, set it down on the desk, Then I got distracted by somebody calling me, so I picked up the pen. Something happened and I let go of the pen and I dropped it right straight down onto the floor, the wooden floor, right on the gold nib. If you're curious about the range of emotions that I experienced, here's a reenactment. What ended up happening, here's the nib, and you can't see it. There's no way you'll be able to tell, because I can't tell. But these nibs are so fine-tuned and well-balanced that I started writing with it again, and it wrote terribly, almost like a stub nib. But then there was inconsistent flow. I tried to play around with the tines myself and just kind of bend it back into place, see if I could close the gap in between the tines, but it was just not happening. And so, sadly, I took it back to my friends at Reed Stationers, who were very kind and, also partook and commiserated in the horror of what just happened on a Grail pen that's very expensive. And they sent it to LAMY, and I paid another $100+ in getting the nib swapped out. I don't know what to say. I mean, I had invested so much at this point. I figured I needed to continue on with that journey, and I've spent quite a bit more on this pen, both in time and money, I suppose, than it's actually worth. And it's left me feeling weird about it, honestly, where I got the pen back. It writes beautifully now, and I'm babying it because it's worth a lot now to me, both sentimentally and obviously monetarily. But I use it only at work, and it stays within my Gala Lender portfolio. So as I was posting stuff on Instagram, I got suckered into looking at an ad for this. This is Waterbears by Kurvd. Kuvrd. Oh, obviously it's covered. I don't know why I'm saying Kurvd. Kuvrd Waterbears by Kuvrd. It was interesting because the ad did a great job of obviously marketing it, but the idea here is to have these microfiber cloths that peel and stick to the back of your electronic devices, which you can use to clean smudges off your phone in real time, which I was by just because my screens always are so dirty. They come in different sizes, a large, medium, and a very tiny one, which I have on my camera here, which I can't take off because it's recording right now. I was curious in terms of how this might fit within an overall EDC aspect, and just the fact that having these pasted all over the place, like on my glasses in particular, which always get dirty. Well, not physically on my glasses, but on a glasses case, like so, whether this would work. And it sort of has. I mean, the ad, obviously the marketing material does a great job of showing how clean you can get a screen, but I would say they're really good for smudges and for just wiping things down. I would also say that if you want a deep clean, you're not going to be replacing your microfiber cloth in a good screen cleaner. I tried using this with a screen cleaner just to see, and it still didn't quite get the same depth as a traditional microfiber cloth. And I don't know if that's just because of the characteristics of this particular... Well, here's the small one. There you go. I don't know if that's just because of the characteristics of this particular material, but they tell you that you're able to wipe most surfaces and get them mostly clean. And I would say that's very accurate in that respect. Mostly clean. The cool thing is the reusability on this, and just obviously the mobility as well of having it on surfaces everywhere. But you can quickly rinse it with water, let it air dry, and then reuse both on the adhesive side and the cleaning surface, the microfiber cloth. So I've been really enjoying that aspect of it. If you're curious about them, I'll put a link to the Amazon version that I got below. Let's talk about my 5-year journal. I love this thing. I've done a couple of videos on it on my channel here. This is the 5-year diary by Midori. And the idea here is that it is literally 5 slots on a day-to-day basis where you get to fill in a few things about that particular day. And for the last 3 years, I have been consistently using it on a day-to-day basis as a reflection for catching quick notes, quick moments within our family, for myself. And this year, just because of how crazy hectic it's been with all the things, it sort of fell apart. I was doing really good in January, and then around the February timeframe, it just died. No particular reason other than just I wasn't getting around to it. But here we are into April, and it hasn't been filled. Now I'm into July, and I'm trying to pick it up every now and then, but there's no consistency around this, which is unfortunate, and not. It's not such a bad thing. It just doesn't serve me in this moment, and I have to be okay with that. I just love the idea of, having a 5-year heirloom that I could pass on to my children if they were interested, although a recent person that I met told me that her older children have zero interest in looking through her stuff, her journals. But you never know. I like to hope. I still like the idea of following through with it. It is not absolutely essential in my routines and habits right now, only because I'm capturing so much of my day-to-day in my traveler's notebook. I have a day-to-day that's going where I'm doing little sketches and writing things down, quick reflections. This has served as my daily journal as of late. And I think it's just from a place of necessity and simplicity. I don't want to carry around too much, number one. Number two, just given how busy things have been lately, I just wanted to have one space, one refuge, maybe two, that I keep on me on the go. And the Traveler's Notebook has certainly been that for me. Will I come back to the 5-year diary? I guarantee it. Probably towards the end of July, maybe into August, when things die down a little bit and transitions are a little bit more firm and solidified. This week's dispatch around the analog habits and structures I've been playing around with really is about intention and focusing. I was ruminating on that the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to figure out what are my non-negotiables in terms of the essential or distilled habits that I must follow through with in order to really partake in the benefits of an analog lifestyle. I posted a video last week called the 5 analog habits that keep me grounded. And these are the 5 habits that I wrote down that were absolutely crucial in terms of the base minimum, the baseline, if you will. Everything from meditating in the morning for at least 20 minutes on a day-to-day basis, to docking my phone at a station in the nighttime before I go to bed in a separate room. If you're interested, take a look at that video. And on a personal front, things are always changing. Our Ireland trip that I was really looking forward to towards the end of summer here, unfortunately fell through for various reasons. That sucks. It's a little bit disheartening, but my wife and I are pivoting and looking to figure out if we can get another getaway. Thank you all for joining me on Desk Dispatch 002. If you have struggled with a pen or a Grail pen that you invested in and it hasn't quite worked out the way you had hoped, let me know in the comment section below. And if you've come back to your journaling or struggle with aspects of your journaling, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments section below. If you like these quieter check-ins or these quick check-ins, and I don't think they're very quick, I always think that they're going to be within 8 minutes, and for some reason it goes a little bit longer. But if you like these check-ins, consider clicking on the like, subscribe buttons in the description below. Or if you like the content, consider clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link on the description below. I post new Desk Dispatch videos bi-weekly, and I'm very excited about the next Desk Dispatch because the good people over at Esterbrook have kindly sent me a goodie box to take a look at. There's a new pen in here, and there's a host of other goodies that I am so excited to take a closer look at and see if they're worth keeping on my desk. Take care, have a wonderful day, and bye for now.